This episode of KSTV is brought to you by Gem Creative, custom designs, printing, web designs, SEO, and more.
Hello everybody, how are you? I'm Kevin.
I'm Peter.
And we are the Kev and the
Rev Show.
You betcha. We're here for your listening and your viewing pleasure. I have a question for you, sir.
Go ahead.
Are you going to the not meeting, I guess, but a kind of a seminar presentation?
The one at Norma Energy Center.
That's the one on October
I am
the 4th.
not. It is sold out.
I heard that. Have you heard what it's about?
Yes, and
Okay.
I think it is absolutely phenomenal, exciting, and interesting event.
Absolutely. It's a lady named Roxana Spicer. Her mom, Agnes, was in the war. She did some time, so to speak, at Auschwitz. And they settled in Netherhill when they came over here to Canada. And they were there for 50 years, which is kind of amazing, from 1948 to 1998. Mm-hmm. And her mom ran the store there, and then she also ran the Homesteader restaurant here in Kindersley.
So I heard about the book coming out, written
Yes.
by Roxana.
Yeah.
I heard at church during coffee.
Okay.
I heard about it in one of the restaurants when I went out for lunch.
Okay.
And I heard about it in one of the aisles at Co-op. And I thought of community
Yes.
when a book comes out about a member of a community, and suddenly that person's life, Anna's life, seems to echo in so many places and in so many lives of community members.
It does, and her story, no one ever knew anything about it.
No.
Because she was, people from that time, they're very reluctant to talk about their experiences in the war, and I totally understand that. So for her to, be sitting around the house having a smoke, having a shot of vodka, and telling her daughter stories and little snippets of information every now and then, it's easy to see how she got this great book.
And she, from what I understand, after her mother died, she did a lot of research into nooks and crannies of the house, into the stories, to build this bigger, richer image of a life that her mother lived.
That's right, and she didn't know anything about it. And she was lucky to, Roxana was actually able to speak with 2 Russian historians. And they gave her a lot of background information, which was really, really cool.
So that book and meeting with Roxana will be an incredible opportunity for people to almost step in to somebody else's life.
Someone that they might have known.
Yes, but they will learn what they didn't know.
That's right. And how one can suffer those kind of horrors and still come out fairly unscathed.
Yes.
That's a tough one to do.
Yeah.
Because those kind of situations can affect everybody in a different way. And, obviously she came out of it okay. She had raised a family, and she did all right.
I think it is important for us to be mindful of what are the untold stories of our heritage. Mm-hmm. What are the stories we can learn that we can hand down to next generation so they don't get lost?
And what can we learn from our grandparents or great-grandparents, if they're still around? What stories can we relate to our kids before they're too old to remember?
Kind of, not so much, sort of, where do you come from? But not as in, oh yeah, I was born here or there. But where do you come from by way of generation and generation of experience, of culture, of ethnic identity?
It's very interesting, actually, how that all happens. And if you're lucky enough that you've secured a ticket October the 4th at the Norm Ritchie Center, wonderful. If you haven't, you'll have to wait till the book comes out, and it should be out any time.
Events sponsored by Royal Flush, the company for septic services.
The 2024-25 Write Out Loud season at the Swift Current Lyric Theatre promises to be a good one, and on October 16th, Ruth Chorney, writer, editor, and registered publisher living in Tisdale, Saskatchewan, will be presenting her novel, Haunted, the third in her Deer Creek series. It is a murder mystery that explores rural situations and relationships through rich descriptions of farm life and the natural environment. Admission is $8 and doors open at the Swift Current Lyric Theatre at 6:30. Musical entertainment begins at 7 with the featured author to follow. Get ready, Saskatoon, because Pumpkins After Dark is coming from October 11th to 31st. Canada's award-winning outdoor Halloween event features over 10,000 plus hand-carved pumpkins at this one-of-a-kind walkthrough experience. Explore the magical pathway of lit pumpkin sculptures and displays with music, sounds, and special effects. With classic Halloween characters, dinosaurs, and dragons, movie and pop culture icons, this family-friendly event has something for everyone. Pumpkins After Dark Saskatoon is located outdoors at Prairieland Park. Parking on site is free. Tickets for the event are available for online purchase only. No on-site ticket sales. The Vampire Circus is coming to Saskatoon on October 22nd at 8 p.m. This 90-minute production is an immersive ride through the underworld and vampires. A mix of circus, cabaret, and theater, this is a cutting-edge production guaranteed to amaze the senses. Set in Bohemia during the 19th century, Count Dracula contemplates a plan for world domination when he decides to open a traveling circus with his gypsy bodyguards. The Vampire Circus was inspired by the allure of legendary traveling carnivals and a vision of Francisco Santos, show founder and Cirque du Soleil veteran performer. Do you want to volunteer to be part of the barn at Herschel's Witch's Lair on October 30th and 31st? The barn strives to have fun, play make-believe, laugh, and scare people every year at their Witch's Lair. Anyone is welcome to volunteer from ages 12 to beyond. Over the years, they have had witches, wizards, crocodiles, pirates, vampires, cats, even a Sasquatch, skeletons, and princesses. Everyone and everything is welcome to come and participate. Reach out to them through their Facebook page if you'd like to join in on the fun. And once again, we are back.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Doing really well. Yourself?
I am doing great. Do you like movies?
I love movies.
Why is that?
Because the movie allows me to take a break from everyday life, because if it's science fiction, I get to see space that otherwise I wouldn't. If it's one of those Marvel things, I get to see Wolverine. Or Wonder Woman.
Or what? There you go.
Yeah.
So you kind of put your brain in park and just kind of enjoy the time on the screen.
And if it's a movie that is, say, a book made into a movie, or movie based on a true story, it enables me to experience the emotions, the reality that otherwise I might have missed.
Fair enough. Are you familiar with the Kindersley Screen Arts?
They are a fantastic group of people.
They certainly are. And they bring a bunch of movies here every year from the Toronto International Film Festival.
And it is important to remember that this year, Kindersley Social is the official sponsor of the movies throughout the year.
We got that out of the way, so that means we get a little bit extra in our paycheck next time.
We have a paycheck?
I think so. Okay, I'll go with that.
Movies are coming to town once a month.
Yep.
The Kindersley Screen Arts is bringing a movie from the Toronto International Film Festival. Yep. Something, let's say, out of the mainstream. Something that engages us differently than the wonderful movies Shane brings in on weekly or bi-weekly basis. And this year we're in for a treat.
We are?
We are.
Okay.
Because normally we get a movie once a month.
Right. Okay. Yep.
So this year, on November 11th, the Remembrance Day,
yep,
the movie is being brought in, Fallen Heroes, Their Journey Home. A movie that took 14 or 17 years in the making, and it is about Canadian soldiers and their involvement in the war in Afghanistan.
Wow. That sounds pretty powerful.
Well, I will certainly try and see it.
It sounds like the movies they're bringing in are more of a, not a fantasy type movie or an escapism. They're more of a true to life story.
I keep sticking to my line of they're different.
Okay.
They're different.
Well, so are we.
Yes. We are different.
Are we that different? Yes.
Well, we're not different enough to not be able to sit in the same space.
Fair enough.
But again, movies you get to see enable you to perhaps check your assumptions, perhaps engage your imagination.
True. And the Kindersley Screen Arts, I mean, the admission's only, I believe, $10. It's a great deal.
I think so.
And why not? Check out something you wouldn't normally go see otherwise.
And remember, one of the cultural elements that I learned when I came to Canada was you cannot watch a movie without popcorn and a pop.
Okay.
That's what I was told.
Well,
Some 30 years ago.
Wow. Well, somebody schooled you right. There you go. So check out the Kindersley Screen Arts.
See you at the movies.
Local news sponsored by Mid-Plains Diesel. A reminder to residents that while using the community walking trail, rain, sun, or snow, it is not an off-leash area for dogs or other pets. For the comfort and safety of others, please keep your pets leashed when using the walking trail. The only place your pet can roam without the restraint of a leash is in your fenced yard or at the off-leash dog park. While your pet is no doubt friendly, someone else's dog may not be, and you might cause an unnecessary conflict to dogs or owners. Some people may not love your friendly pooch as much as you do, so we need to remember that. Also, please remember to pick up after your pet. Let's all do our part so everyone can enjoy the walking trail. It's election season, and Kindersley Council nominations run until October 8th. Residents are invited to pick up a nomination package at the Town of Kindersley Administration Office. Nomination Day is October 9th, so please have your nomination package returned to the Town of Kindersley Admin Office by 4 p.m. Any package returned later will not be accepted. You can withdraw your nomination on October 10th if you decide you do not wish to run for council. Election Day is November 13th. For further information on how, who, and where to vote, please visit kindersleysocial.ca or the Town of Kindersley's website. Eston residents, hey, are you wanting fresh eggs in the morning? Hoping to have chickens of your own in your backyard? If you want to keep chickens within town limits, you must apply to council for approval. You can have up to 5 chickens, no roosters, and they must be kept contained and not free roaming. If this sounds like something you'd like, please visit eston.ca to fill out an application form. Hey, I'm the Kev.
And I'm the Rev.
And this is the Kevin Rev Show.
Welcome.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate that. Tonight we've got a kind of a different topic. Do you eat out a lot at restaurants?
Not as much as I would like to, but yes, I do. When I don't feel like cooking, I either eat out or I order in. Go for a drive, pick it up, bring it home, eat it in front of TV.
There you go. That's good. Now, my question to you is, when you go pick up the food, or whether you have it there, do you tip? Do you leave them a tip? Now, keep in mind, in the beginning, tip, T-I-P, you would pay at the beginning of your meal. It was to ensure prompt service. Now, somehow it evolved into what it is today. You pay for the level of service you feel you've received.
Yes.
So, when you go to a store or to a restaurant, do you feel like if you've received fairly decent service, do you tip?
So, someone told me once that if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out.
Interesting. I've never thought of it that way. Okay.
I mean, you've already budgeted for going out, and yes, I find that the tip reflects the quality of service,
Okay.
quality of food, and each individual judges it differently. But I think recently there has been an upsurge in people's reactions, not positive really, to basically facing an assumption that you will tip.
Right. And sometimes some restaurants, when you're given the machine to make your selection, it's prompting you for an obscene amount already to start. At
You're
the lowest
already
amount.
facing, will you be tipping this much, or this much, without asking, do you want to tip?
I disagree
But I
with
think that conversation is just a tip of an iceberg.
Okay.
So I reflected on it and I thought, we get upset. I do sometimes. I do get upset when I'm being taken for granted. Nobody likes that.
Nope.
In relationships, in any other setting, nobody wants to be taken for granted. So, but we get upset about tipping or being expected to tip, being assumed we will tip. We get upset about that. And we start fuming.
Right.
Where is the conversation? Why is it happening?
Is it because the servers and or the restaurant not making enough money? Possibly. I know that I've seen servers who got tipped fairly well and were, of course, very happy. I've seen some servers who were not tipped at all and be very upset. But they have to look at themselves too. And part of the problem is with them. But also, some people just don't like to tip anyway,
Yes.
regardless of what kind of service they got. So you're right. It is an individual thing. Like you said, if you can't afford to eat out, you should be.
If you can't afford to tip,
right,
you can't afford to eat out.
So if you buy a Mercedes, don't complain about the size or about the price of gas.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Exactly. Nice one.
Just say, well,
Think
thank you.
about
I'm saving that one for tonight. Yeah. There
Good
you go.
one.
So again, it's all up to you. If you feel you've been served well, you may, of course, tip. If you feel you haven't been, then you won't. And people have to understand that. They can't just bring you your soup or your sandwich or whatever and expect you to tip for that. At least that's what I feel anyway.
I am always uncomfortable with, as I said, expectations and being taken for granted. Perhaps if there was ever a conversation about minimum wage versus living wage, we would enter into conversation that if people were making living wage, there wouldn't be no need
Absolutely.
for tipping.
Right.
It
True
would
enough.
truly be. I mean, there is a reason why in some concepts of a language it's called gratuity. Okay?
Yeah.
So,
It's all up to you, folks. And AC/DC, there you go.
can I do that?
This is the Kev and the Rev signing off.
Sports, sponsored by the Tint Doctor. We've got you covered.
The Professional Bull Riders Canada will buck into Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, as the Elite Cup Series takes over SaskTel Centre for 2 nights of competition at 7 p.m. on October 25th and 26th for the PBR Saskatoon Classic. PBR Canada Cup Series regularly features Canada's best riders alongside some of the organization's top international athletes, squaring off against the rankest bucking bulls from across the nation. The Saskatoon Classic marks the final tour stop of the 10-event regular season for PBR Canada's Premier Cup Series in 2024. The Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League is proud to continue supporting the Canadian Mental Health Association's Talk Today program ahead of the 2024-25 season. Developed for young athletes, Talk Today promotes mental health and suicide awareness. SJHL Commissioner Kyle McIntyre expressed support for the mental health initiatives, emphasizing the importance of mental health training and positive relationships for athletes' success on and off the ice. He highlighted the need for athletes to set up support systems, aim for achievable goals, and find ways to cope with mental health challenges. McIntyre thanked the NHL, CJHL, Fifth Line, and CMHA for their commitment to the SJHL and its players. Each club in the league will partner with CMHA and the CJHL to provide education, support, and awareness to all athletes, with February designated as Talk Today Month. The town of Eston is hosting a jam-packed weekend of sports and entertainment at the Eston AGT Community Centre for their 2024 Winter Kickoff from October 25th to 27th. Friday there will be a U13 exhibition game, kids sport fundraiser, and a rec hockey game. Saturday we'll see a 3-on-3 tournament, a wiffle ball tournament, and toonie bowling. Sunday wraps things up with another 3-on-3 tournament and a pickleball tournament. Hey Peter,
Hi, Kevin.
how are you?
Doing really well.
Welcome to the Kev and the
Rev.
show, and we're here for your viewing and pleasure, or enjoyment, or whatever you want to call it.
A review on a time, to crib the line from Montreal Comedy Festival, time well wasted.
Absolutely. I have a question for you. I need you to think back to your childhood. A little bit. Don't go all the way back, but close. You know, when
Okay.
you think about what we did as kids, how we dressed, the music we listened to. What was the big thing when you were growing up? Say clothing-wise.
So, my mother sewed a lot of my clothes,
Okay.
but my biggest memory would be when I was about 13 or 14. I just became a newly converted metalhead, and Iron Maiden were gods. And my mother sewed me a vest, made out of fake leopard skin.
Oh my.
And she added a bunch of chain pieces here and chain pieces here and chain pieces there, and there was a chain at the back. It was very long, so I'm pretty sure she kind of stole it from the defunct toilet. I mean, we made do in those days. Remember, we're talking communist Poland.
Okay.
So metal people had those wristbands to
Yes.
keep the sweat from.
Yes.
Now, we couldn't get a real hardcore sweatband, so we just laid our hands on some elastic bandage,
Right.
just wrapped it around our hands, and we did
I've
fine.
got a hard time imagining that with you. Wow. That's cool. Well, I remember I had something similar. My mom used to sew on my jeans 2 patches of all different kinds and colors. And she says, well, how do you want that? I said, put them on any way you want.
Yeah.
That's the way it was. And then, of course, you had to wear the obligatory high-heeled shoes. You know, they went back that in the 70s. Early 70s, mind you. And a flowered shirt. You feel like you're going to a disco, but you're going to school. It was different, put it that way.
I have seen the movies about discos from your years.
Oh boy. And were you impressed?
Is that where you're doing the
John Travolta, yeah. Well, he was big, that's for sure. He was big, but he dressed really well. And he had his hair done up really nice and everything. But back in school, man, those were the crazy trends that we followed as kids, you know.
I think so, yes.
You know, we just kind of did what the other kids did.
But nothing changed.
No, I think
Nothing
kids today
changed.
do the same thing, actually,
Well,
to some degree.
what I meant is not so much the kids, but we haven't changed a bit. We still follow the trends. I mean, the reason why actors who act out, you know, take a role of, say, James Bond, later on take a pose
Of course.
with not so much a gun, but a bottle of aftershave, and then
course.
everybody wants it. You know, I realize how impressionable we are as
Oh, yeah.
people.
Absolutely.
I thought it passes when you hit 17 or 20.
Oh, no.
I went to a James Bond movie once,
Okay.
long time ago. And so I noticed, at the end of the movie, every single man from 20 to 82 walking out of the theater
Right.
was walking out as if they have a gun under their armpits.
You're right, we haven't changed. And I guess in a way we're all slaves to brands as well.
I think so.
Whether you wear Reeboks or Nike or whatever, I mean, we still do that today, and kids do that a lot as well.
You know, I think that doing that enables us in some maybe primitive way to step in or to smell or to taste the lives of people we only know from screen or from books or from posters.
Interesting
The
way to look
lives
at
of
that.
people who live in Beverly Hills mansions.
And sometimes their lives maybe aren't as great as we think they are.
I think when you look back at the last 20 years, the amount of, to put it bluntly, famous people and rich people
Right.
who ended their lives by suicide or who descended into debilitating illnesses or mental health. As much as you might like caviar, I do, or truffles, you know, those lives, especially how they end, they are a reminder that money can't buy everything.
No, it can't. And if you're not happy on the inside, it's going to reflect that. And that's too bad, because we've lost a lot of great people to at
Yes.
an early age.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're neither famous nor wealthy, but we make do with what we have and who we are.
So I don't care much about wealthy, but, you know, I think the town is beginning to know who the Kev and the Rev are.
That's true. I think they do notice. And we'll just keep hammering it out till they get to know it more. And if you have any suggestions about what you'd like us to talk about, please check out our Facebook page. We'd be more than happy to receive your comments and maybe have a show, maybe have you on the show. Who knows?
And if you would like a copy of Kinderly Social Magazine autographed by one of us, feel free to approach us.
Absolutely. Till then.
Bye for now.
Hi everyone, be sure to grab a free copy of our bi-weekly print issue in over 50 locations across Kinnersley. Also included in our magazine is the free Kindersley Social Extra, where we publish things like community events for nonprofits and obituaries for free. If you would like to be featured in our magazine or have something advertised, please email hello@kindersleysocial.ca.